What's going on? You're in the Beat Sessions. I'm your host, Mitchell Weary. Let's talk about Eddie Vedder and Earthling. He released that on February 11th. This is solo album number 3 for him. That is right. I'm putting my foot down and declaring it as his third. I don't know why some people don't count the Into the Wild soundtrack as a solo album. I think it's ridiculous, and I disagree. So this is number 3. And it's his follow-up to the B-side of Gigaton. No, it's not. It's his follow-up to 2011's Ukulele Songs. I will say that Earthling has much more energy than both of those combined. And between the personnel and the music, I really enjoyed this project. I'll say that listeners that are expecting or wanting an old school style Pearl Jam album are going to be disappointed. And I think that expectation it's interesting. I think there's an element of his fan base, of Pearl Jam's fan base, and of Vedder's that really wants this to happen. And I just don't think it's ever going to again. Eddie Vedder's almost 60 years old. He's 57 now. He's become an elder statesman in music. And honestly, if you're going to live life successfully, in my opinion, I think a big part of that is learning to allow that angst to dissolve and finding contentment, finding happiness. And Eddie Vedder in his life and in his career has demonstrated those things. And you have a guy that is just not the same person that he was 30 years ago, rocking out, scaling all the scaffolding at concerts, making you question whether or not he's even going to survive this tour. He's just not that guy. He's grown up and he's mellowed out and he's making music from a different perspective. He still rocks. He still has the ability to be heavy, but I just don't think that, there's a lot that goes into, I think, wanting to recapture that sound. And I think it's more than just the music. I think it's about being there in that time. The 90s truly was a special place. Anybody that's old enough that was alive and experienced it can tell you that. It really was a great decade. But I think that, in contrast to where Vedder's at, you have these other frontmen, Kurt Cobain, Lane Staley, Chris Cornell, Scott Weiland. I didn't even need to finish that list of names before you knew where I was going, before, I suggested what the other alternative for Vedder was. So I would say that I'm glad he's still around. I'm glad that he's still making music, even if it is a little more mellower, even if it doesn't help us cathartically exercise those demons that sometimes we just need to let out. And the old school Pearl Jam will still always be there for that. And there's some moments on this new record that border on punk rock, some really heavy stuff that I really enjoyed. And I think it's worth a listen. I think overall I think most Pearl Jam fans and most Vedder fans will really enjoy this record. There definitely are a couple of hiccups and a couple of moments that I found questionable. But I think for the most part, if you're just looking to enjoy good music, go into this thing without that expectation. And I think you'll dig the record. There's so many good players on this thing. Chad Smith is on drums from Red Hot Chili Peppers. Josh Klinghoffer, their guitar player from 09 to 19, is also on this record. A guy that I think gets a raw deal too. I think that the Chili Peppers, obviously Frusciante is always going to be the best guitar player in that dynamic, but I think Klinghoffer is a guy that's very talented and doesn't get enough credit that he deserves for those couple records that he made with the Chili Peppers. I like him working on this record. I think he's great. And then Andrew Watt on the bass, moving from production to work on an instrument. I think it's a great move for him. And then you get appearances from Ringo Starr, Stevie Wonder, Elton John. There's moments on this record that really sound like Tom Petty, and Ben Montek showing up, playing keys on a few songs. Really just a great vibe and a great energy in the studio on this thing. And a class record from a guy, like I said, who has become an elder statesman of rock and roll. It's pretty crazy to think, but, we all got old. Eddie got old, I got old, we all got old. It just happens to us. And so I'm cool with Eddie mellowing out a little bit and doing this record. It opens up with Invincible. It's got this steady bass that carries these bright synths. It's got a big hook, really like it. This song, it's poppy, upbeat, reminded me a lot of U2, honestly, or maybe something that the Verve Pipe would do as well. Power of Right is your second song. Really like the energetic riff on this thing. It's got this thick bass, very punk rock sounding, and it gets right into it. I love the way that that first song, Invincible, is a little slow, and then boom, Power of the Right just picks this thing up and goes into it. Long Way is your third song. This is where you get that feeling of Tom Petty, definitely, especially in the acoustic guitar. I like the light 90s alternative feel in that as well. Think of like Tom Petty Wildflowers, that kind of time frame. Brother of Cloud is your fourth song. Up tempo. It's just a good feeling rock and roll track. Really dig that song. Another song that's got that 90s alt sound. Fallout Today is your fifth song. It's breezy, it's acoustic, it's got this kind of like bar style saloon piano as well that I think is really cool, and pulls the pace back a little moment. It's a nice change. Leading into The Dark, which is your sixth song. This is very poppy in the and it's got this just I hear Bruce Springsteen so much. Think of the song Human Touch when he was kind of in that phase of his career. And then the seventh track, The Haves, you got a ballad here. This moment is a total miss. This thing is, I love Eddie Vedder, and listening to the song, reading the lyrics, I was just like, Eddie, with all due respect, the lyrics on this thing go, the haves, it's all about how the haves have not. And I like the sentiment, it's great. It's all about, recognizing what you have in life, recognizing that our relationships, love, it's not all about material things, but just coming from a guy that belongs in the haves. Let's be real. I love you, Eddie, but you're a member of the haves. You're a dude with money. And this just feels like a very disingenuous moment. I'm just like wondering what the hell he was thinking doing this song. Really a bad moment on this record. They should have just wrecked this song, gotten rid of it. It's terrible in my opinion. But he writes the ship with good and evil. That's your eighth song. It's got this great frenzied like punk grunge feel. Really a nice way to ignore the fact that he even put the haves on the record. That song is so bad that I had to go listen to Aerosmith's Eat the Rich after I listened to it. It was just obnoxious in my opinion. Your nice song, Rose of Jericho, continues that stretch of like grungy punk rock that Good and Evil starts there. And then you get your 10-song Try. This is a cool track. Got this rockabilly punk element to it. And then there's what sounds like a harmonica. I think it's what it is. It's crazy the way you can just auto-tune everything these days. It's tough to tell, but the harmonica, if that's what it is, it almost kind of gives the song a ska element. So instead of horns, they're working with that. Very cool track. Really dig it. And then it leads into Picture, which is where Elton John shows up. This song sounds like it could have been on the Lockdown Sessions, honestly. I mean, it sounds like it could have been on an Elton John record, or it fits perfectly on this record. But I really like what both of them are doing. Just a great exchange, just a great groovy song, and I really enjoyed it a lot. Mrs. Mills is your 12th track, very Beatlesque, especially in the bass, lighter sounding. And then it leads into your final track, On My Way, which is got this nice ethereal acoustic feel. This record in its entirety is pretty damn good. I'm very pleased with it. I'm going to vinyl please it. I really wish they could just redo it without the haves, but, nothing's perfect. Eddie isn't perfect, far from it, but damn it if I'm not glad to have him around still making music. And I really like this effort. I think it's got good energy. The music's phenomenal. I think lyrically he's killing it. And it's certainly much better than that B-side of Gigaton, like we were saying. So vinyl please on this thing. Hope you enjoyed listening to this record. Hope you find this review helpful as well. Please like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel, do all the things to help me blow this project up in 2022. And we'll see you next time on the Beat Sessions.